Okay, so are you ready to, like, dive into something kind of different this time?
Always up for a challenge. What you got for us?
Well, imagine a children's book, but with a, like, magical blue whale.
Okay, sounds whimsical enough. I'm intrigued.
Right. But what if I told you it's also, like, this really profound look at the hero's journey? Something we all kind of experience.
Now you've got my attention. What's this book we're diving into?
So today's deep dive takes us into, get this, Billy and the Blue Whale.
Billy and the Blue Whale. Okay, I'm not familiar.
Yeah, it's not exactly like high literature or anything, but we're going to unpack it and see if we can't find some, aha moments hidden in there.
I love that. It's amazing how children's lit can be so deceptively simple. Like there's always a lot more going on beneath the surface.
Right, exactly. And Billy and the Blue Whale is like the perfect example of that. So it starts by introducing us to Billy, right? He lives a pretty, normal, average life.
Okay, I'm with you. Normal kid, average life.
But then, like, pretty quickly, you start to see this sense of loneliness in Billy's life that I think a lot of us can relate to, even as adults.
It's true, yeah. That feeling of being stuck, like you're in a rut and just craving something more. I mean, isn't that kind of a universal experience?
Totally, totally. And the author does a really good job of, like, capturing that feeling, in those everyday moments of Billy's life.
Right. So, like, how does that actually play out in the book?
So, like, we see him at the bus stop every day, coming home from school, even, like, making dinner and getting ready for bed all by himself.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's rough. So where are his parents in all of this?
They're in the story, like, they're present, but they're mostly absent in Billy's life
Yeah.
because they've both got these really demanding jobs.
And that's where I think the story really gets interesting. It's not just about, like, a kid who wants attention. It's this deeper need,
Mhm.
Like Billy's longing for a real connection, for something more than just the day-to-day grind.
Totally. And you can really feel Billy's longing in those quiet moments. It's not like the author comes right out and says, okay, Billy's unhappy, but
It's more like you sense it in the way he just goes through the motions,
yes,
right?
exactly. Like there's this one part, it's this small detail, but it's so powerful. There's this image of Billy falling asleep like the second his mom kisses him goodnight.
No.
And
Even though he, like, waited up for her.
right. Right. And I think it just speaks to that desire for, I don't know, a less chaotic family life, maybe. That longing for a true connection.
Absolutely. And often it's those little details that pack the most punch.
And that longing, that yearning for something more. Well, that's kind of where things take a turn for the magical. That's where the blue whale swims in, right? Like,
Yeah.
literally.
Right on cue. The blue whale, it becomes like this powerful symbol in the story. It represents change, possibility, all that good stuff. And it's entering Billy's world, shaking things up.
And it's so cool how the author doesn't just, like, drop this big blue whale in our laps right away. It's more subtle at first, like little hints here and there.
Yeah, I love that. It's like the author's dropping little breadcrumbs, getting us ready for what's to come.
Totally. So, like, at first, it's just a picture of a blue whale on a car that passes by. Then there's an illustration of one in Billy's school book, stuff like that.
It's almost as if, and maybe I'm reading too much into this, but it's like the blue whale is kind of calling out to Billy in those early moments, like whispering about this change that's about to happen.
Oh, for sure. Like, those whispers, they get louder and louder as the story goes on.
Look, right. And then there's that part where Billy finds that like little hand-stitched blue whale
Right, yeah.
on the bus. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's not just some random thing, right? It's like this, like a beacon or something, urging him to wake up, pay attention.
Totally. And it's like the moment he touches it.
It's like he's activating its powers.
Yes, exactly. Like he's tapping into something way bigger than himself. And then, boom, just like that, he's swept away on this crazy adventure. We're talking a massive storm at sea.
Don't forget those whiskey-guzzling monsters.
Oh, right. How can I forget those guys? It's not your average children's book.
Definitely not your average bedtime story.
Mm-hmm.
But, I actually think that's what makes it so engaging, for adults too. Like, underneath all the fantasy and adventure, there's this really powerful message. It's about the hero's journey, about facing your fears and then discovering this inner strength you didn't even know you had.
Totally. And it's really interesting how Billy's whole hero thing unfolds. Like, he's not Superman or anything. He doesn't have superpowers. He's just a normal kid who finds himself in these totally insane situations.
Exactly. He's just a regular kid thrust into extraordinary circumstances. And that's actually a really important point, I think. Billy's heroism, it doesn't come from some, like, supernatural ability or anything. It comes from his willingness to just act, to face whatever's thrown at him.
Right, like when he throws that burning stick at the whiskey monsters to scare them off.
Yes. That's the perfect example.
Yeah.
It's such a simple act of courage, but it ends up saving the day.
I know. It's like the author saying, hey, you don't need superpowers to be brave. You don't have to be like Captain America to make a difference in the world.
Right. Sometimes, actually, it's the small everyday acts of courage, those seemingly insignificant moments that have the biggest impact.
For sure. And that's a message that I think everyone can get behind. It's a message that resonates no matter how old you are. We
Yeah.
all have those moments, right? Where we're called upon to be brave, even if it's just in our own little ways.
Absolutely. We all face challenges.
Yeah,
We all have fears to overcome. And I think that's what's so great about this book. It reminds us that we all have that strength within us, that potential for heroism.
Mm.
It's just a matter of tapping into it.
You know, you saying that reminds me of something funny that happened when I was reading this book with my niece. We got to the part where Billy first encounters the blue whale, like face to face, and she stopped me and she's like, hold on, why a blue whale? Why not something else? Why not a dolphin
Yeah.
or a shark?
Kids, right?
Yeah.
Always asking the best questions.
I know, right? It was such a good question. And it totally made me realize that even kids, they're picking up on this deeper meaning, the symbolism that's woven through the story.
Absolutely. They're not just passively absorbing the story.
Mm.
They're actively engaging with it, trying to unpack its layers.
Totally. Anyway, I tried to answer her question in a way that, a kid could understand. I was like, well, you know how blue whales are, like the biggest animals on the planet, like ginormous.
Good strategy. Keep it simple.
Right. So I told her, well, they're also like gentle giants.
Yeah.
So maybe the blue whale, it represents something really big and powerful, like the changes that are happening in Billy's life. But it's also something that's kind and wise, something that's there to help guide him.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's
Yeah.
a perfect way to explain it. It really gets at the heart of what the blue whale represents, I think.
And you know what else? The blue whale, it's not just some random creature from the ocean.
It's like a symbol of hope, a symbol of transformation.
Exactly. And speaking of transformation, we have to talk about Billy's grandfather.
Right.
Like, the fact that he just happens to be the captain of this magical pirate ship.
Talk about a plot twist. Family secrets and swashbuckling adventure all rolled into one.
Right. But it's through that relationship with his grandfather, this guy he never even knew, that Billy really starts to, understand himself. He figures out where he fits into the world.
Totally. It's like a classic element of the hero's journey, the importance of mentorship, that connection with a wise, experienced guide who helps the hero on their path.
Totally. And in Billy's case, it just happens to be his long-lost pirate grandfather. And that ending, though, right? Like, it'd be so easy to just make it about the treasure.
Oh, yeah. And then Billy found a cave full of gold and lived happily ever after.
Right. But it's not about that at all. It's so much deeper. It really is. It's about so much more than just, striking it rich. It's about the transformation, right? Like, Billy comes back from this crazy adventure, and he's not the same kid anymore.
100%.
Okay.
But it's not just Billy who's transformed, right? Remember how the story started? With Billy basically craving his parents' attention? This whole wild adventure, it kind of forces them to hit the reset button on their own lives, too.
It's like they finally get it, Like, all the money in the world can't replace the time that they've missed with their kid.
Exactly. The story just nails that feeling, it's so easy to get caught up in chasing success, chasing those external rewards that we kind of forget about what really matters. And that's what happens to Billy's parents, right? They get so caught up in their work and climbing the ladder, whatever, that they lose sight of what's truly important.
Yeah.
If they're family.
Totally. And the best part, it's not just that they come home, after Billy gets back. It's that they choose to stay.
Right. They make a conscious decision to shift their priorities.
Yes. Like, they use their newfound wealth to, help other people, which is great. But they also make this commitment to be more present in Billy's life. And that's really what makes the ending so satisfying, I think.
It's such a good reminder for all of us, honestly. Sometimes the greatest treasure, the thing that really makes us happy is not like a pot of gold or a fancy car. Sometimes it's just about showing up for the people we love, being present, making that connection a priority.
So true. And you know what? This whole conversation is really making me think about, what blue whales might be swimming around in my own life, those kind of subtle signs or opportunities or whatever that are calling out to us, urging us to be more adventurous or to grow or just to make some kind of change.
Right. What if we all just approached life with a little bit of that childlike wonder that Billy has, that openness to the unexpected? I mean, who knows what amazing transformations could happen?
That is a powerful thought to leave our listeners with today. Any final words of wisdom before we wrap things up?
Just remember, life's a journey. So don't be afraid to embrace the unknown, to follow those whispers of change, and to always be on the lookout for those aha moments wherever you can find them.
Beautifully said. Couldn't have put it better myself. And to everyone listening, remember to keep exploring, keep asking questions, and most importantly, keep following those blue whales wherever they may lead you. Until next time.